Hello friends, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'll teach you how to perform server-side drop-down list validation in ASP.NET MVC. So let's start. So the very first thing, I'll open Solution Explorer, and from there I'll be opening the model class. So here I am adding a namespace system.componentModel.Data Annotations. This particular namespace is required for data annotations. Now inside the class, I am adding string property gender. As you can see, at present I am adding a data annotation required and I am setting the error message for it. This particular data annotation is used for performing required validations. It is very similar to required field validator. So with this, our model class is complete. Now let's move to the view. Inside the view, I am creating a form using MVC HTML helper method. I am making use of begin form method. It accepts three parameters. The first one is name of the action result method, which is index. The second one is name of the controller, which is home. And the third one is the type of call. In this scenario, it is a post call. Now inside the form, I am creating an HTML table, and within the HTML table, the very first thing which I am adding is display for function, and I'll be binding it to the gender property of the person model class. Display for function will simply display the name of the property. The next thing I am adding is a drop-down list field, and hence I'll be making use of drop-down list for method of the HTML helper class. Here I am making use of lambda expression and I am pointing it to the gender property of the person model class, and then I'll have to add the list items of the drop-down list. So for adding the list items, I'll be making use of a generic list collection. So as you can see, I have created a generic list of select list item class, and in that I am adding two objects. The first object is for the first option, which is male. The text I am setting as male and the value I am setting as M. In similar way, for the second option, I am setting the text as female and the value as F. Now the third parameter of the drop-down list for function is the default value. So I am setting the default value as please select. The next thing I am adding is the validation message element, which will be used to display the validation error message. Here I am making use of ValidationMessageFor method and I am binding it to the property. Now here you will notice I am adding attribute named class. This is required for setting the CSS class. Now finally I am adding a submit button, which when clicked by the user will submit the form to the action result method. Now let's move to the controller. Inside the controller, now I am adding an action result method for handling post call. The reason is that I'll be submitting a form. So that form will be submitted to this particular method. I am naming it as index and I am passing the person model class object as parameter. Inside the action method, the state of the submitted model is checked using model_state.isValid property. And if the model is valid, then the value of the name property is set in a viewback object. In the end, the view function is written which completes the action result method. Now let's move to the top of the action result method where I'll be adding the HTTP post attribute. Now again, let's move back to the view. Firstly, I am checking whether the state of the model is valid or not. If the state of the model is valid, then the value of the viewBag object will be displayed using Razor syntax. So now here I'll be displaying a message from controller inside the view. For that purpose, I'll be making use of viewBag object. ViewBag allows us to create a dynamic objects. That means we don't have to define the data type. Here I have pasted some CSS classes. This is required for styling the view as well as setting the color for the error message which will be displayed during validation. So with this, we are done with our view and we can now run the project and see it in action. As you can see, the drop-down list is now displaying the default item, and when I click the button, the error message is displayed. Now let me select a valid value. So now I am clicking on the button. As you can see, the form has been submitted, which means I have selected a valid value and the validator has considered it as valid. So with this, we come to the end of this video. Thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe, and don't forget to click the bell icon. Goodbye.